The greatest challenge in life is deciding to stop being who you were and start becoming who you need to be. There comes a point where you have to make a choice. Stay the same or grow into something better. A boy waits for things to get easier. A man does what needs to be done, no matter how he feels. A boy makes excuses. A man takes responsibility. A boy hopes someone will come to save him. A man saves himself. Life is tough. It's going to test you. It's going to challenge you. And if you're still thinking like a boy, still running from difficulty, still avoiding responsibility, life will break you, because life doesn't care how you feel. It rewards the strong. It rewards the disciplined. It rewards the ones who are willing to do what most people won't. But here's the truth. Not everyone is ready for that. Most people will stay stuck. They'll keep making excuses. They'll keep blaming others. They'll keep waiting for the perfect time. And they'll waste years of their life wondering why nothing is changing. But the ones who decide, who really decide, that they're done playing small, that they're done running, that they're ready to take full control of their life, those are the ones who break through. If you want to become that person, you have to kill the part of you that's holding you back. You have to let the boy go. The boy who hesitates, who complains, who takes the easy way out. And you have to let the man be born. The man who takes action, who holds himself to a higher standard, who builds himself into something greater. This is not just motivation. This is reality. If you don't take control of your life, life will control you. If you don't develop discipline, you will stay stuck. If you don't step up and take responsibility, no one else will do it for you. Today we're going to break down what it really takes to transform, to stop thinking small, to stop making excuses, to stop waiting, and to start living the life you were meant to live. Because once you make this shift, once you truly commit, nothing will ever be the same again. Number 1, stop running from hardship. Face it like a man. Life is not supposed to be easy. That's the first thing you need to understand. If you're looking for a path without obstacles, without struggle, without moments of pain, then you're looking for something that does not exist. The reality is, every great man you admire, every successful person you look up to, has gone through hardship. But the difference between them and most people, they didn't run, they didn't hide, they didn't complain. They faced it. They took the hits, they learned the lessons, and they kept moving forward. That's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. The problem is, too many people are still running from responsibility, running from failure, running from discomfort. But here's the truth. Running doesn't make life easier. It makes it harder. Because the problems don't disappear when you avoid them. They grow, they wait for you. And when you least expect it, they come crashing down, bigger and stronger than before. It's time to stop running. It's time to face whatever is in front of you. Because the moment you do, everything changes. That's when you grow. That's when you get stronger. That's when the boy inside you disappears and the man is born. If you've been running from hardship, from responsibility, from pain, you have to ask yourself, how long do you plan to keep this up? Another year? Another 5 years? The rest of your life? Because as long as you run, you'll never have control. You'll never be free. You'll always be a prisoner of your fears. Think about it. Every time you avoid something difficult, what happens? Does it go away? No. It lingers. It haunts you. It affects your confidence, your self-respect, your future. And the worst part, every time you run, you teach yourself that you're not strong enough to handle life. That's the real damage. It's not just the problem you avoided. It's what avoiding it does to your mind. You weren't meant to live like that. You weren't born to be weak, to be afraid, to let problems control you. You were born to be strong, to stand firm, to take what life throws at you and turn it into something great. But that only happens when you stop running. Hardship is not the enemy. It's the training ground. It's what separates the ones who will make something of their lives from the ones who will stay average. Because when life gets tough, most people quit. They look for an escape. They complain about how unfair everything is. But a man, a real man, sees hardship for what it is. An opportunity, a test, a chance to rise. You have to start looking at your problems differently. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, this is too hard, tell yourself, this is making me stronger. Because that's exactly what hardship does. It builds you. It forges you. It prepares you for the next level of your life. The truth is, the more you run, the weaker you get. The more you avoid, the more powerless you feel. And the more powerless you feel, the harder it gets to change. That's why so many people stay stuck. Not because they're incapable, not because they don't have what it takes, but because they've spent so long running that they don't believe they can stand anymore. But that's a lie. You can stand. You can face it. You can handle whatever life throws at you. You just have to make the decision to stop running. Whatever it is you've been avoiding, whether it's a difficult conversation, a responsibility, a fear, a failure, you need to face it now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the longer you wait, the bigger it grows. And the bigger it grows, the harder it gets to overcome. So stand up, look at your life, be honest with yourself. What have you been running from? What have you been avoiding? Find it and decide right now that you're going to handle it. Not because it's easy, not because you feel ready, but because that's what men do. There's no shortcut. There's no secret formula. The only way forward is through the discomfort, through the fear, through the hardship. And when you get to the other side, you'll realize something powerful. Nothing was ever as scary as it seemed. Nothing was ever as hard as you made it out to be in your mind. But you'll never know that if you keep running. So stop, face it, and step into the man you were always meant to be. Number 2, choose discipline over comfort. Most people don't struggle because they lack talent. They don't struggle because they're not smart enough or strong enough. They struggle because they choose comfort over discipline. They take the easy way out. They choose what feels good in the moment instead of what's right in the long run. And that's why they stay stuck. Look around. Everywhere you go, you'll find people who are waiting for motivation, waiting for the right time, waiting until they feel like it. But here's the truth. If you only take action when you feel like it, you'll never get anywhere because feelings are unreliable. One day you're motivated, the next day you're tired. One day you're excited, the next day you're full of doubt. If you let your emotions decide your actions, you'll spend your whole life starting and stopping, moving forward and falling back. That's why discipline matters. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation disappears. Discipline is what makes you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And that's what separates successful people from everyone else. Not talent, not luck, just discipline. The ability to show up, put in the work, and stay consistent. No matter what, it's easy to stay in bed when the alarm rings. It's easy to skip the workout, to avoid the hard conversations, to make excuses when things get difficult. Comfort will always feel good in the moment, but what does it cost you in the long run? Every time you choose comfort, you're sacrificing progress. You're sacrificing growth. You're staying exactly where you are. And if you think about it, that's the real trap, because comfort isn't actually comfortable, not in the long term. You might feel good for a while, but eventually regret sets in. You start seeing other people getting ahead, and you wonder why you're still in the same place. You look back at all the times you could have worked harder, all the opportunities you let slip away, and you start to realize you weren't avoiding discomfort, you were avoiding growth. The people who make it in life, the ones who succeed, they don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait until the conditions are perfect. They decide, they commit, they train themselves to show up every single day, no matter what, and that's why they win. Not because life is easier for them, not because they have some secret formula, but because they have mastered discipline. The good news is, discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like with any muscle, the beginning is the hardest part. The first time you wake up early, the first time you push through exhaustion, the first time you say no to distractions, it's tough. But if you keep going, it gets easier. It becomes second nature. And here's something most people don't realize. Discipline actually gives you more freedom. Because when you control your actions, you control your results. You don't have to hope for a better future. You create it. You don't have to wait for opportunities. You build them. That's real power. The power to shape your own life, instead of being controlled by circumstances. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been choosing comfort over discipline? What goals have you been putting off? What dreams have you been waiting on? You already know what you need to do. You just have to decide that you're going to do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. And when the excuses come, and they will, you have to remind yourself of the truth. Discipline is hard, but regret is harder. The pain of hard work is temporary, but the pain of staying the same lasts forever. So stop waiting, stop looking for the easy way out. Choose discipline, and watch how your life transforms. Number 3, let go of excuses. Own your mistakes and learn from them. There comes a time in life when you have to stop blaming everything and everyone for where you are. You have to look in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. Your excuses have been holding you back. The moment you realize that, everything changes. Because excuses don't just slow you down, they keep you stuck. They keep you small. They convince you that your circumstances are the problem, when in reality, your mindset is the real issue. Think about how many times you've said, I don't have time, or it's not my fault, or I'll start when things are better. These are just words you use to avoid responsibility. And the more you use them, the more powerless you become. Because when you blame something outside of yourself, you're saying you have no control over your life. But that's a lie. You have more control than you think. You have the ability to change, to improve, to grow. But none of that happens until you stop making excuses and start taking ownership of your life. Owning your mistakes isn't easy. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that you could have done better, that you wasted time, that you made poor decisions, that you let yourself down. But that's exactly why it's powerful. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take back your power. Now, instead of waiting for circumstances to change, you start changing yourself. Instead of hoping for a lucky break, you create your own opportunities. Instead of complaining about what went wrong, you learn from it and move forward. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fails. Everyone has moments they regret. But what separates the strong from the weak is how they respond. Weak people hide from their mistakes. They pretend it wasn't their fault. They make excuses. Strong people face reality. They acknowledge where they went wrong. They learn from it. And they use that lesson to become better. That's how real growth happens. You can either be the person who explains why they haven't succeeded yet, or you can be the person who gets up and does what needs to be done. But you can't be both. You can't move forward while holding on to excuses. You can't build a strong future while blaming the past. You have to make a choice. Are you going to be the victim of your story, or are you going to take charge and rewrite it? Some people spend years making excuses. They talk about their past like it's a prison they can never escape from. They say things like, if only I had better parents, or if only I had more support, or if only I had started earlier. But the truth is, none of that matters now. What's done is done. The only thing that matters is what you do next. You either keep living in the past, or you take control of your future. And if you want to change your future, it starts by owning your mistakes today. There is nothing more powerful than a person who is willing to take full responsibility for their life. Because when you do that, you stop waiting, you stop hesitating, you stop looking for someone to save you. Instead, you take action, you find solutions, you put in the work, and most importantly, you refuse to quit just because things are hard. When you make a mistake, don't hide from it, don't run from it. Own it, study it, figure out what went wrong and why. Learn the lesson so you don't repeat it. That's how you grow. That's how you improve. That's how you become the kind of person who can handle success when it comes. You can spend your life explaining why you haven't reached your potential, or you can decide that today is the day you stop making excuses. Today is the day you take responsibility. Today is the day you start making real progress. And when you do that, nothing can stop you. Because now you're no longer hoping for a better life. You're creating one. Number 4, upgrade your mindset. Stop thinking small. Your life will never rise higher than your mindset. If you think small, you will live small. If you expect little, you will receive little. The limits you place on your mind will show up in every part of your life. Your relationships, your career, your opportunities, and even your happiness. And the sad part is, most people never realize that their own thinking is what's holding them back. They blame circumstances. They blame luck. They blame other people. But the truth is, the biggest obstacle in their way is the way they think. Look around. Every successful person you admire started with one thing before they had money, connections, or resources. They had the right mindset. They believed in bigger possibilities. They refused to accept average. They didn't let their past define them. And because of that, they made choices that led them to success. Now here's the thing. Nothing is stopping you from doing the same, except the way you think. If you're constantly telling yourself, I can't, it's too hard, it's not possible for me, then guess what? You're right, not because it's actually impossible, but because you've already decided it is. And the moment you decide something isn't possible, you stop trying. There are people out there with less intelligence, less talent, fewer resources, and worse circumstances than you. But they're succeeding because they don't let small thinking hold them back. They don't sit around doubting themselves. They don't wait for permission. They don't tell themselves, I'll try someday. They start. They take action. They put themselves in uncomfortable situations that force them to grow. And over time, they build the mindset that creates success. That's the difference. It's not about who's the smartest or the most gifted. It's about who's willing to expand their mind beyond what they currently see. If you want more out of life, you have to stop thinking like someone who settles for less. You have to stop looking at obstacles as signs to quit and start seeing them as challenges to overcome. You have to stop letting fear control your decisions. You have to stop playing it safe just because stepping into the unknown feels uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Success is uncomfortable. But staying small and never realizing your full potential, that's the most painful thing of all. Think about it. Every great achievement started in someone's mind before it became reality. Every breakthrough, every invention, every successful business, it all started as a thought, an idea, a belief. The same is true for your life. What you believe is possible will determine what you attempt, and what you attempt will determine what you achieve. If you keep your mind locked in limitation, you will live a limited life. But the moment you decide to think bigger, to expand your vision, to believe in greater possibilities, that's when doors start opening. That's when opportunities appear. That's when you begin to transform. You were not born to live an average life. You were not meant to just survive, pay bills, and exist. You have the ability to do more, to achieve more, to become more. But none of that will happen if you keep thinking small. Small thinking tells you to be realistic. Small thinking tells you to play it safe. Small thinking keeps you trapped in fear, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for guarantees, waiting for things to be easy. But life doesn't reward small thinking. Life rewards those who dare to step up, to take risks, to push past their doubts and go after what they truly want. You have to decide that you're done playing small. You have to make a choice today, that you will not let your old mindset control your future. Start challenging your own thoughts. Start asking yourself, what if I could do more? What if I stopped doubting myself? What if I started thinking like someone who is unstoppable? Because the moment you start asking those questions, your mind starts looking for answers. And that's when real change begins. Your future is waiting for you. But it won't come to you if you keep thinking like the old version of yourself. Upgrade your mindset, and you upgrade your life. Stop thinking small, and start living big. Number 5, live by principles, not impulses. The difference between a man who builds a strong life and a man who constantly struggles isn't luck, talent, or intelligence. It's discipline. It's the ability to live by principles instead of impulses. Most people live by whatever they feel in the moment. If they feel like working hard, they work hard. If they don't feel like it, they quit early. If they feel motivated, they chase their goals. If they don't, they do nothing. They let their emotions dictate their actions. And because of that, their lives never reach their full potential. Success doesn't belong to the person who works hard when it's convenient. It belongs to the person who stays consistent, no matter how they feel. It belongs to the person who chooses to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. It belongs to the person who sticks to their values, even when temptations try to pull them away. That's the power of principles. When you live by principles, you don't need motivation. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to rely on your emotions to push you forward. You move forward because it's who you are. Look at the strongest people in history, the people who overcame great challenges, the people who built something lasting, the people who earned respect. They didn't do it by living on impulse. They did it by living by a code. They set standards for themselves, and they refused to break them. They didn't take shortcuts, even when it was tempting. They didn't make excuses, even when things got hard. They didn't lower their values just because it was easier. They stayed true to their principles, and because of that, they built something real. If you let your impulses control you, your life will be full of regrets. You'll make decisions in the moment that you'll wish you could take back. You'll waste time on things that don't matter. You'll chase short-term pleasure and sacrifice long-term success. You'll start things, but never finish them. You'll say things you don't mean. You'll fall into patterns that keep you weak, distracted, and lost. That's what happens when you let impulses run your life. You become a slave to your emotions instead of a master of your destiny. Principles give you strength. They keep you grounded when life gets tough. They help you stay focused when distractions try to pull you away. They guide your decisions, so you don't have to second-guess yourself every time things get hard. When you know what you stand for, you don't get lost in temporary feelings. You don't let other people push you around. You don't let circumstances dictate your future. You build your life on a foundation that can't be shaken. A man without principles is easily swayed. He changes his mind every time the wind blows. He says one thing today and does another thing tomorrow. He's easily influenced by what others think. He makes promises but doesn't keep them. He starts things but never follows through. He reacts instead of thinking. He lets fear, temptation, and laziness control him. And because of that, his life is unstable. He never reaches his full strength because he never sets a solid foundation to stand on. If you want to build a strong life, you need to set rules for yourself. Not rules that hold you back, but rules that keep you in line with your highest potential. Decide what kind of person you want to be, and don't break that standard for anything. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you make a commitment, follow through. If you have a goal, don't stop until you reach it. If something doesn't align with your values, walk away. If something challenges your character, don't give in. When you live this way, you become someone who can be trusted, someone who can be relied on, someone who can build something meaningful. Living by principles is not easy, but neither is living a life full of regret. Neither is looking back and realizing you wasted years chasing things that never mattered. Neither is being controlled by emotions that lead you nowhere. The road of discipline is hard, but the road of regret is much harder. Choose wisely, because one leads to strength, honor, and self-respect, and the other leads to weakness, regret, and disappointment. No one can force you to live by principles. That choice is yours. But if you want to be a man of value, if you want to build something lasting, if you want to be able to look in the mirror and respect the person staring back at you, then set your principles now and never break them. Because a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. And a man who lives by impulse will always be at the mercy of his emotions. But a man who lives by principles will create a life that no storm can shake. Number 6, your actions define you. Talk less, do more. Everybody wants respect. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to be seen as someone of value. But not everybody is willing to do what it takes to earn it. Too many people are busy talking, making promises, saying what they're going to do. But when the time comes to act, they disappear. They tell people about their big plans, their big dreams, how they're going to change their lives. But days, weeks, months pass, and nothing changes. Because talk is easy. Talk costs nothing. But action, that's what separates the strong from the weak, the successful from the average, the respected from the forgotten. Your actions define you, not your words, not your wishes, not your intentions. What you actually do is what tells the world who you are. It doesn't matter how many times you say you want to be successful if you never put in the work. It doesn't matter how much you talk about discipline if you don't live with discipline. It doesn't matter how much you say you're going to change if you keep repeating the same patterns. The world doesn't listen to words. The world watches what you do. People respect action. People follow action. People remember action. But words are cheap, Anybody can say they want to be great. Anybody can talk about how they're gonna get in shape, start a business, build something meaningful. But the only ones who actually succeed are the ones who stop talking and start working. The ones who don't feel the need to tell everyone what they're doing. The ones who understand that real results speak louder than words ever could. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want people to trust you, if you want to build something real, then stop talking and start proving. Prove it to yourself. Prove it with your actions. Show up every day and do the work. Stay consistent when no one is watching. Push forward when it's hard. Keep your promises, not just to others, but to yourself. Because at the end of the day, your life is not going to be judged by what you said you were going to do. It's going to be judged by what you actually did. Think about it. Look at the most successful people in any field. The ones who built something great. The ones who became legends. You never hear them bragging about what they're going to do. You never see them wasting time convincing people that they're serious. Because they don't need to. Their work speaks for them. Their results do all the talking. They let their discipline, their consistency, their commitment show the world who they are. That's what separates them from the rest. Now ask yourself, what do your actions say about you? Are you the person who always talks about change, but never makes a move? Are you the person who gets excited about new goals, but never follows through? Are you the person who tells people what they want to hear, but never backs it up with action? If you are, it's time to change. Because the truth is, nobody cares about what you say you're gonna do. Nobody is impressed by words. People only believe what they see. It's not enough to say you want to be successful. You have to show it. You have to live it. You have to wake up every day and do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. You have to build discipline, so you're not relying on motivation. You have to push through failure, so you don't quit at the first sign of struggle. You have to make the decision that your actions will be louder than your words. And let me tell you something. When you start living this way, people will notice. They may not say anything at first, but they're watching. They're watching how you move. They're watching how you handle pressure. They're watching if you actually do what you say you will. And when they see that you are consistent, when they see that you don't just talk but actually do, that's when you earn real respect. That's when people start taking you seriously. But most importantly, that's when you start taking yourself seriously. Because when you prove to yourself that you can follow through, that you can set a goal and accomplish it, that you can rely on your own discipline, instead of waiting for external motivation, that's when you develop confidence that can't be shaken. That's when you build real self-respect. That's when you stop seeking validation from others. Because you know your worth is in your work. So from this moment on, make a decision. A decision that you will not be the person who just talks. A decision that you will not make empty promises. A decision that your actions will be so strong, so consistent, so powerful, that you won't need to convince anyone of who you are. They'll see it for themselves. Because when you stop talking and start doing, when you stay committed no matter what, when you take action day after day, you won't have to prove anything with words. Your results will do all the talking. Number 7, do what's right, not what's easy. Life will always present you with two choices, the easy way or the right way. The easy way is tempting. It's comfortable. It's what most people choose because it requires the least resistance, the least effort, and the least sacrifice. It lets you avoid discomfort. It lets you avoid challenges. It lets you stay where you are without having to grow. But here's the truth. Nothing great has ever been built by taking the easy way. The easy way might feel good in the moment, but in the long run, it leads to regret, mediocrity, and a life that's far less than what you're capable of. Doing what's right, though, that's where strength is built. That's where character is formed. That's where the real rewards of life come from. The right way isn't always comfortable. It's not always convenient. It's not always what you feel like doing. But it's the path that leads to self-respect, to confidence, to becoming the kind of person that others look up to. Not because you talked about what you wanted to do, but because you lived it. Every day you face these choices. In the small things and the big things. Do you wake up early and push yourself? Or do you hit snooze and tell yourself you'll start tomorrow? Do you take responsibility for your mistakes? Or do you find an excuse and blame someone else? Do you stay disciplined and work towards your goals? Or do you let distractions and laziness take over? See, it's not just the big decisions that shape your life. It's the little ones. It's the choices you make when nobody's watching. It's the moments where you could cut corners, where you could take the easier route, but you choose not to. Because you know that every time you take the easy way, you weaken yourself. And every time you do what's right, you strengthen yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about building the habit of choosing what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because those moments of difficulty, that's where you grow. That's where you separate yourself from the average. That's where you prove to yourself who you really are. The world is filled with people who look for shortcuts, people who take the easy route and wonder why their life isn't where they want it to be. People who dream big but refuse to put in the effort. People who want success but aren't willing to make the sacrifices. And then there are the ones who rise, the ones who don't complain, who don't seek comfort, who don't wait for the perfect time. The ones who do what needs to be done, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Doing what's right doesn't always bring instant rewards. You might not see the results immediately. You might feel like it's unfair that others are cutting corners and getting ahead. You might wonder if it's even worth it. But here's the truth. Every decision you make builds who you are. And in the long run, integrity always wins. Hard work always pays off. Discipline always creates success. It might not be overnight. It might not be easy, but it will always be worth it. You have to stop chasing the easy road. Stop looking for the fastest way, the shortcut, the effortless success. That's an illusion. Every person who has achieved something great, something real, something lasting, they got there by making the hard choices, by saying no to distractions, by staying disciplined when it would have been easier to quit, by putting in the work when nobody was watching. And don't think this just applies to career success or money. This is about everything. Your relationships, your health, your mindset, your future. You have to do what's right in all areas of life, not just when it's convenient. Because the moment you start cutting corners in one area, it spreads. You lower your standards. And before you know it, you're living a life that's far less than what you deserve. So make the decision, right now, that you will not be someone who takes the easy way out, that you will not sacrifice your integrity for short-term comfort, that you will do what's right, even when it's difficult, even when nobody else is doing it, even when it means standing alone. Because at the end of the day, that's what separates the weak from the strong, the ones who make excuses from the ones who make progress, the ones who live with regret from the ones who live with pride. The world is watching, but more importantly, you are watching yourself, and every decision you make is either making you stronger or weaker. It's either pushing you forward or holding you back. It's either making you into the person you were meant to be or keeping you stuck in a life of mediocrity. So choose strength, choose discipline, choose what's right. Because one day, when you look back on your life, you'll either be proud of the choices you made or regret the times you took the easy way. And I promise you this, nothing feels better than knowing you did it the right way. No shortcuts, no excuses. Number 8, if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. Every great leader, every person who has ever commanded respect, every individual who has ever influenced others in a meaningful way, they all started by leading themselves first. Because here's the truth. If you can't control yourself, if you can't discipline your own mind, your own habits, your own actions, then you have no business trying to lead anyone else. Leadership isn't a title. It's not a position. It's not something you just step into because you want power or recognition. It's something you earn, not by words, but by actions, by proving, first and foremost, that you can lead yourself. Think about it. Would you follow someone who has no control over their own life? Would you take advice from someone who can't even stick to their own principles? Would you trust someone who constantly says one thing but does another? Of course not. Because leadership isn't about telling people what to do. It's about setting the standard. It's about being the example. It's about showing others what's possible, not through empty talk, but through the way you carry yourself every single day. Too many people want to be leaders before they've even mastered themselves. They want to give advice before they've put in the work. They want to be respected before they've earned it. But real leadership starts in the mirror. It starts with how you wake up in the morning. It starts with how disciplined you are when nobody's watching. It starts with the way you manage your time, your energy, your emotions. It starts with your ability to stay committed when things get hard. Because if you can't even trust yourself to do what you said you would do, why should anyone else trust you? The best leaders in history weren't the ones who simply barked orders. They were the ones who lived by example. They were the ones who set the tone, who showed up with discipline, with integrity, with unshakable focus. They were the ones who didn't just talk about greatness, they embodied it. And that's exactly what separates the ones who are respected from the ones who are ignored. If you want to lead, if you want to be someone that others look up to, then start with yourself. Build the habits that demand respect. Wake up early and attack the day with discipline. Set a standard for how you treat people, how you handle challenges, how you stay committed, even when it's inconvenient. Hold yourself accountable. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for motivation, and start taking control of your life. Because when you do that, when you take ownership of every aspect of who you are, you won't need to convince people to follow you. They'll naturally respect you. They'll naturally gravitate towards you. Because people don't follow words, they follow actions. But it's not just about what people see on the outside. Leadership is also about mastering your internal world. It's about having control over your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions. Weak leaders are controlled by their emotions. They let fear dictate their actions. They let anger cloud their judgment. They let doubt keep them stuck. But true leaders, they control their emotions. They don't let their feelings dictate their actions. They don't let temporary frustration make them lash out. They don't let fear stop them from moving forward. They have mastered their own minds. And because of that, they are able to guide others with clarity, with confidence, with certainty. This is why leading yourself first is non-negotiable. If you can't stay disciplined, if you can't control your emotions, if you can't hold yourself to a high standard, then you will always struggle to lead others. Because real leadership isn't about power. It's not about control. It's about being the kind of person that others want to follow. It's about being so solid, so unwavering in your discipline, your integrity, your strength, that people naturally respect you, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. And here's something most people won't tell you. Leadership isn't glamorous. It's not always about standing in front of people and giving motivational speeches. Most of it happens in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. It's in the sacrifices you make. It's in the discipline you maintain. It's in the standards you refuse to lower, even when it would be easier to do so. It's in the times you push yourself to keep going when you feel like giving up. That's what builds true leadership. That's what earns respect. You don't need to wait for a title to start leading. You don't need permission to step up. You start now by leading yourself first. Number 9. Break free from dependency. No one is coming to save you. There comes a moment in life when you have to face the hard truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to wake up in the morning and solve your problems for you. No one is going to take responsibility for your success, your failures, or your dreams. If you're waiting for someone to show up and fix your life, you'll be waiting forever. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you can take full control of your future. Too many people waste years, sometimes even their entire lives, waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for someone to recognize their potential. Waiting for a lucky break. They tell themselves, once I get that promotion, then I'll start taking things seriously. Or if someone just gives me a chance, I'll prove myself. Or worse, I can't do it alone. I need help. But that kind of thinking is exactly what keeps people stuck. It's exactly what keeps them powerless. Because as long as you believe that someone else is the key to your success, you'll never take full ownership of your own life. Dependency is a trap. It's comfortable, it's easy, and it gives you an excuse to stay where you are. Because as long as you're depending on someone else, you have an excuse for why you haven't made progress. You can blame the world. You can blame your circumstances. You can say, it's not my fault. I'm just waiting for the right moment. But here's the truth. That moment will never come. There is no perfect timing. There is no hero on the way. The only person who can change your life is you. When you stop waiting, when you stop looking outside of yourself for answers, everything changes. You start to realize that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. You start to see that you don't need permission to take action. You don't need someone else to give you an opportunity. You can create your own. The moment you break free from dependency is the moment you take your power back. It's not going to be easy. Taking full responsibility for your life is one of the hardest things you will ever do, because once you accept that no one is coming to save you, you also have to accept that everything is on you. Your success, your failures, your progress, it all comes down to your actions. And that's a tough pill to swallow. It means you can't blame anyone else when things don't go your way. It means you have to face your own weaknesses, your own mistakes, your own limitations. But here's the thing, that's the only way to grow. That's the only way to truly level up. You have to start thinking like someone who doesn't need saving. You have to stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop expecting others to give you a roadmap. You have to become your own savior. Develop the mindset that no matter what happens, you will figure it out. No matter how hard it gets, you will keep pushing forward. No matter how many times you fail, you will get back up and keep going. Because once you truly believe that, nothing can stop you. Look around at the people who are winning in life. The ones who are successful, who are independent, who have built something for themselves. Do you think they got there by waiting for someone to help them? Do you think they sat around hoping for a miracle? No, they took action. They made sacrifices. They built themselves up from the ground. They didn't wait for someone to hand them an opportunity. They created one. And if they can do it, so can you. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, even when it's uncomfortable. Because that's where real growth happens. Comfort is the enemy of progress. If you keep relying on others, if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll stay stuck in the same place forever. But the second you decide to take control, to stop waiting, to stop depending on anything or anyone outside of yourself, that's the moment your life truly begins. And here's the truth. When you become someone who doesn't need saving, something incredible happens. You start attracting success. You start attracting opportunities. People start respecting you, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. You become the kind of person who others look up to, who others admire, who others want to follow. Because independence, self-reliance, and unshakable determination are rare. Most people will never break free from dependency. They will spend their entire lives waiting for something that will never come. But you don't have to be one of them. You can choose a different path. So make the decision today. Stop waiting. Stop depending. Stop looking for a way out. Take responsibility for every part of your life. Your success, your failures, your struggles, your victories. Own it all. Because once you do, nothing and no one will ever have power over you again. And that is the ultimate freedom. Number 10. A man builds his own life. A boy complains about it. There is a line that separates men from boys, and it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with how many years you've been alive or how much experience you have. It comes down to one thing: how you respond to life. A boy looks at his circumstances and complains. He blames his situation, his bad luck, his past, or the people around him. He waits for things to change. He waits for someone to come along and make it easier. But a man doesn't wait. A man builds. A man takes whatever life throws at him and finds a way to turn it into something better. A man creates his own future, no matter how hard, no matter how long it takes. Too many people waste their time pointing fingers, making excuses, and justifying why they're not where they want to be. They complain about their job, their financial situation, their relationships, their upbringing. They say, if only I had better parents, if only I had more money, if only I had the right connections. But here's the hard truth. Life doesn't care about your excuses. Life will not stop being hard just because you wish it would. And no one is going to feel sorry for you forever. At some point, you have to decide whether you're going to keep complaining like a boy or step up and build like a man. A boy stays stuck in the past, replaying old mistakes, dwelling on things he can't change. He wastes his energy on regret, on frustration, on wishing things were different. A man, on the other hand, focuses on what he can control. He takes responsibility for his actions, even when things go wrong. He doesn't run from his failures. He learns from them. He doesn't waste time blaming others. He figures out how to move forward because he understands that real power comes from action, not excuses. When you complain, you give your power away. You are telling yourself, I have no control. I am helpless. The world is against me. But that's a lie. You have control over your actions, over your choices, over the way you respond to life. The second you stop complaining and start doing, you take that power back. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your future. That's what separates men from boys. A man doesn't just accept his situation, he changes it. If he's broke, he finds a way to make money. If he's out of shape, he puts in the work to improve his body. If he lacks skills, he learns. He doesn't wait for someone to teach him. He doesn't wait for the perfect opportunity. He finds a way. He builds himself, step by step, day by day. And he does it without needing applause, without needing someone to tell him it's okay. Because he understands that the world doesn't reward complaints. It rewards results. It's not going to be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. Because building is hard. It takes patience, discipline, and sacrifice. It takes doing things you don't feel like doing, over and over again, without immediate results. That's why most people quit before they ever get anywhere. They don't have the endurance. They want quick success, easy rewards, instant gratification. And when they don't get it, they start complaining. They say it's too hard, it's not fair, it's impossible. But that kind of thinking will never get you anywhere. Look at the people who are winning in life. The ones who built something from nothing. The ones who came from struggle, from setbacks, from failure, and still made it happen. Do you think they got there by complaining? Do you think they sat around waiting for life to be fair? No. They took what they had and made the best of it. They pushed through the frustration, the doubt, the pain. They kept going when no one believed in them. They built their lives with their own hands. That's the mindset you need if you want to win. So ask yourself, are you building or are you complaining? Are you taking control of your life? Or are you making excuses for why you can't? Because the truth is, every minute you spend complaining is a minute you could have spent improving. Every time you blame someone else, you're wasting energy that could have been used to make progress. Every time you dwell on the past, you're taking focus away from your future. And if you keep doing that, you'll stay exactly where you are. Make the decision today. Stop complaining. Stop blaming. Stop blaming. Take responsibility for everything in your life. Your successes, your failures, your struggles, your victories. Own it all. Because the moment you do, you take your power back. You go from being a boy who complains about his life to a man who builds one. And that right there is the difference between those who succeed and those who never will. One day you will thank yourself for not giving up when it was hard, for pushing through when no one believed in you, and for becoming the person you always knew you could be. This is where the real test begins. It's easy to watch a video, to feel inspired for a moment, but the truth is, nothing changes unless you take action. You have to decide right now that you will not be the same person tomorrow that you were yesterday. You have to decide that from this moment on, you will step up, take responsibility, and build yourself into something greater. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. It has to come from you. And that means letting go of the old version of yourself. The one that made excuses. The one that played it safe. The one that kept waiting for the right time. That version of you has to go. Because the person you are meant to be, the strong, disciplined, unstoppable version of you, needs to take over. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will take time. But every single day that you push forward, every single day that you stay committed, you are building a future that is worth it. And one day you will look back at this moment, and you will realize, this was the moment everything changed. Now don't just sit there, don't just think about it. Get up, take action, and start becoming the man you were meant to be.